It's a video diary or vlog style video where I talk about the choices that I make as a knitter and the outcome of those choices. If you are new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. I'm so delighted that you're here. If you push the subscribe and like buttons below, it helps more people find this really special corner of the internet where we get to connect and talk about color and the intentional kind of choices that we make and the joy that comes from making those choices. I am really glad to be back. It's been quite a bit of time. If anyone is curious, just to like cut to the chase, I did finish my Twigs sweater before my birthday. I'm totally delighted to say. I'll be talking about that at some length. It's my one finished object for this recording or this check-in, and I have some really exciting new cast-ons that I'm really looking forward to. One I'm really looking forward to completing. The other I really enjoy the process of, and then a third is just full-on yarn love extravaganza. I kind of can't get over I haven't even cast it on technically yet, but just the materials I'm so excited about. So I'll be getting into all of that. First off, a little kind of mini life update. I am delighted to say I finished my half marathon on my birthday. That was kind of what I was like leading up to, I think, the last time I recorded, and it went really well. I actually kind of smashed my goal, so that was really exciting. I have a really wonderful coach who I actually found on YouTube. She's amazing. Her YouTube channel is called Run with Jane, and she is fantastic. I will link her information below, but she has been just so incredible. I have not been running that much after the half marathon, and this is exactly what happened when I ran my full marathon a year ago. And yeah, I don't know what it is. I feel like I just get into these like phases where I really work towards a goal and then I complete it and then I kind of back off of it. So I've been doing a lot more lifting and other kinds of activity, but not running quite so much. And in other news, I am really excited to say I have a big trip coming up in just a couple weeks. I'm going to be going to the south of France and then to Venice for some work projects, so I'm really excited about that. As I think I might have just mentioned in my intro, but in case I didn't, I'm also, my kind of day job, I'm an art curator, and I'm also a kind of consultant and coach for folks in the art world and folks getting excited about and engaged in art. So I work at an art gallery and then also do some work with individual clients. So it has been a really fun time planning that trip. I am super excited. I haven't been back to France in some time, and I'm really excited about going to the Venice Biennale this year. The Biennale of Venice is a, as it sounds like, every 2 years art exhibition, and in some ways it's kind of like the Super Bowl of the contemporary art world, and it's just a time when people from all over the world kind of gather, and it's a time to look at art and kind of take a temperature or pulse or check-in on what's going on globally in the art world. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to summer. Summer's kind of arrived here in the Bay Area, and it feels really good. We're spending lots of time outside hiking and going to the pool, and yeah, it's just been a really great time for my family. So to dive right in on my finished object, first of all, thank you to everyone for your well wishes on getting my twigs done. I'm so glad that I did. I'm really happy with the results. There's one issue, and I don't think it's a deal breaker, but it's probably something that you could have noticed right away. And that is the thing that I was hoping was not going to be an issue, but it's the collar. Basically, I think what happens is that the increases are just so quick. You know, you go from a small, this is a Junko Okamoto sweater. I love her designs. I am obsessed with the color work. I absolutely love this. But I do think that for whatever reason, whether it's my knitting style or just my body fit, there's a really long kind of, how do I say this? I feel like the increased rate on the neckline just doesn't suit me personally. I tried to change that or kind of help that along by actually doing a folded neckline, which I quite like. But as you can see, there's this little kind of wrinkle of fabric that comes right here, and that's where it wants to lay. So again, I don't think it's a deal breaker. I put on a collared shirt today just because it's pretty warm and I will be taking this off. I'm not going to be in a wool sweater here in June in California, but I did just kind of want to point that out. I hate kind of starting with the negative, but I will say that's the only negative in terms of the fit of the sweater. I love the shoulders. I made significant modifications in terms of stitch count right after the split for sleeves, and I'm really glad that I did. I'll stand up just for a little bit, but so you can kind of get a sense of, look at how gorgeous that color work is. And you can see I nipped it in quite a bit here, and I'm really, really pleased. I really love this sweater. I'm so glad I made it. The yarn is amazing. Even though it's a bit warm for it today, I would say that in general, I don't think that this is going to be too hot of a piece, and I'll be able to wear it for 3 seasons for sure. And I used the Lavandula Chic Blend, which is a natural wool with mohair in it, and it turned out beautifully. I am really happy with the way that it bloomed. I think I mentioned this the last time too. I was kind of just I absolutely could have, and a much more responsible knitter would have blocked this project midway through at some point. But I think I was just so nervous and just had to finish it and feel like it was actually properly finished. And so I just kind of kept going and keeping my fingers crossed. And it worked out great. So the yarn puffed up beautifully. Like the concerns that I had about where my stitches, my tension just wasn't quite as even though I was going down, I think 1.5 and sometimes 2 needle sizes in the places between the color work. I was able to, you know, there's no rippling there. I'm really, really happy with the way that it looks post-blocking and in terms of just kind of the evenness and the tension I was able to get. So that has worked out great. Again, and I don't even know if it's that noticeable, but does just feel like there's an extra little bit of fabric here at the top. And it might be that I needed more short rows. I think some people do add more short rows in the back. It feels like that's what's going on a little bit. So that's my Twigs. I'm so excited to wear it. It is absolutely positively worth it if you're considering this as kind of a what's it, kind of crescendo of a knit. You know, it definitely for me took on moments where I was like, I don't know if I can do this. The floats are so long. It's such a big commitment. Will I be able to kind of get is the product going to be worth it? 100% I believe that it is. I'm really, really pleased with it, and I'm just really glad that it's done, and I'm really looking forward to wearing it a ton. And if anybody has any specific questions about this knit, I can absolutely get into that. Just put them in the comments below. I think there's quite a few updates. I don't have an update in every podcast that I did over the past year that it took me to finish it, but I do have a lot of them. And I do think for me it was worth it having a project that was something that I was gonna knit on in kind of spurts, right? It wasn't something I needed to get through right away. It was kind of a longer term commitment. It was something that I was yeah, just kind of plugging along on, and that worked out well. And that's not usually how I go about things. I usually kind of want to get to the end, and it's an issue with my whips. So yeah, that's the Twigs, and I'm again really pleased with it, and I can't wait to knit more pieces by Junko. I really again love this piece, and I'm really pleased with it. So I'm going to do a quick change real quick, and I'll be right back. And we're back, and feeling much cooler and more seasonally appropriate in our choices here. So now it's whip time. Not a ton of kind of crazy things, but I will say all three of the things that I'm working on at the moment, all of them are new. None of them you've seen before, and they are all within the same overarching category. Can we guess what that category might be? If you guessed cardigan, you were correct. I am deep in my cardigan era. I know I'm not alone. I think there's so many beautiful cardigan options out there. And so we'll start with my pressed flowers. It is sumptuous. I love it. And returning viewers will remember that this is actually a different contrast color than my plan. So I'll give you a quick update on all of that. The main color, oh, for those who don't know, this is the Pressed Flowers Cardigan is the official name of the pattern. It's by Amy Christoffers. This is the, I think, third or fourth pattern that she released in this stitch motif, and a mosaic color work motif. It is lovely little flowers with these alternating kind of speckles in between. And I really love it. It's definitely a process knit for me. I'm enjoying the process. It's really satisfying. I will say, like mosaic knitting, you're going back and forth, and that's really just one row. But because it's a cardigan, I feel like I'm not having to purl that much. And that's kind of nice. I'm not like anti-purl, but I do think it's nice not to have to do the whole row that way because of the way that the slip stitch pattern works up. It works up really nicely when you're going flat or knitting flat back and forth. So this has been totally delightful. And I'll tell you a little bit about the way color selection worked with this, because it was definitely a unplanned new acquisition that I'm really happy worked out the way that it did. So basically I was getting ready to cast this on with my main color, which is this really beautiful kind of steely blue gray from this is from Magpie Fibers, and I'll put the color down below. It's their Nest Sport. So it's fairly rustic. I believe it's a Cordale, and I'll double check that. It's really nice, really smooshy, not super soft, but also doesn't, it's more dry than scratchy. I would say it's not at all scratchy. So I was going to be pairing this with a spin cycle, which is, I believe, what's called for in the pattern. And I was just thinking about how this color really reminds me of the color that the shadow of the Bay Bridge makes. And one of the things that I work a lot with is how our, not just with color, but in kind of the art world in general, how closely associated language is with ideas of aesthetics, right? So the way that we interpret and see things is really connected to language and how we talk about things. So for me, I just had this moment where I remembered that the color of the water underneath the Golden Gate and Bay Bridge is this really specific color, and it feels a lot like this. So I was having that kind of moment of reflection. It just kind of occurred to me. And then I remembered that wonderful, kind of amazing mohair that I had gotten from a Verb for keeping warm, which was called Marine Layer. And it is a kind of a very light gray, with more of but it's a cool whiter gray. And then there are flecks of orange, International Orange, which is the color of the Bay Bridge, which is like a very rusty orange, and then steel blue flecks as well. So I had this already and I was thinking about it. And I thought, what if I got a main color in the same thing and paired them? So this is another really special yarn. It's from a Verb for keeping warm. It's incredibly luxe. It's kind of next level. It is a silk, cashmere, and alpaca blend, and it is called, grab the ball band again because it was the wrong one. Yeah, 70% super fine alpaca, 20% silk, and 10% cashmere, and it's called Floating. It is divine. It's really, really, really special stuff. And it worked up just so beautifully in the contrast color here. I'm really, really happy with it. This kind of exceeds all my expectations. It's not a color shifting yarn, so we're not gonna see the same kind of changes over the course of the garment, but I'm really okay with that. I think it looks really just how I imagined in terms of the way the two colors dance together, move together. It's not completely unlike my Twigs. I absolutely would agree with anyone who made that comment, but I'm really, really happy with it. So this is my Pressed Flowers cardigan, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's also a nice combination to have this really drapey yarn within the floating held with the mohair is much drapier, and it has a really lovely kind of hand to it, and that's in contrast to the much sturdier weight and kind of more scaffolding of the main color. So I think the finished fabric is gonna feel really, really nice to wear, and it's gonna have the structure that I want. So it all kind of worked out in a way that was pretty serendipitous. I was really happy with the results, and I think that this project speaks to a lot of my process. Like I said at the beginning, I call it curatorial knits because we're making choices, right? We're making aesthetic choices, which is what curation is all about. And so a lot of times that can happen because of word association or because our visual world reminds us of something else. And I think for me, I'm happiest and most fulfilled by the projects where that all seems to come together. And so yeah, this has been really fun to work on, and I'm excited for the finished object, but also really enjoying the process of this. For whatever reason, also the stitch pattern is really just clicked with me, and I had this thought for some reason in reading and looking at the chart for the first time where I thought it was going to be more challenging, or I thought I was going to have a hard time reading it, but I swear after the first repeat, you kind of know what you're doing. You're just reading your knitting. And so for me, that's also been really, really nice. We'll see what happens when I get to, it's bottom up, as you could see. So we'll see what happens when I get to the sleeves and all of that stuff, but I'm glad that I'm able to get the pattern repeats really down and really kind of understanding those before it comes to the construction shifts and changes. So that's been really, really great. My next knit is a bit of a surprise, and I'm really excited about it, and I kind of want to sing the praises of this pattern. So basically the genesis of this project, another cardigan, is seeing something online and having it be out of my price range and thinking, let's see if I can make that. I really loved this beautiful silk and cotton blend lace cropped cardigan, and it was delightful. But like I mentioned, out of my price range, but I was thinking it would be really serviceable, something I could really wear all summer long, and particularly to bring on this trip that I'm going on for work. So I went beep bop booping all over Ravelry, and I saw that Rebecca Clow was about to release a lace pattern, cardigan, and I was like, great, I know her patterns really well. I've tested for her a couple of times. She even had one of her samples was done in kind of a bright white. I was like, perfect. So the pattern came out. I bought the yarn I wanted to use. I got the pattern, and honestly, it was just not a good fit. I think that the yarn that she uses is quite plump, and I think it's really rustic. I think the stitches, just for whatever reason, were not singing with this yarn. And the yarn that I'm using is actually that same floating yarn from a Verb for Keeping Warm, this time in the undyed color, because I was so excited. It was just so nice. I wanted to use it on its own. And then I wanted to carry something with it because I was trying to get gauge for Rebecca's pattern. And so I had some plain white Surrey that was just banging around. So I assumed I was going to use that. And then the other option though that Verb had is this lace weight alpaca, and it's a alpaca merino blend. It's quite thin, but it's got a really nice shine to it. Like, it's really, really pretty. I'm loving that. And let me tell you the name of it, Reliquary. And yeah, it's super fine merino and silk, thus the shine, sorry. So it's 80% merino, 20% silk. So the way they talk about it, and what I noticed in my swatch, is that it puffs up really nicely because of that merino. And so it really does have that carry along effect, but there isn't gonna be any kind of giant halo. So I thought perfect for knitting lace. But I will say, not perfect for knitting the Rebecca Clow's pattern, which, again, I bought. I think it's a very serviceable pattern. It just was not what I was looking for to match this yarn, because now I'm in love with the yarn, and I was like, I can't go back. This is the yarn. This is the yarn. The object I'm making is a white lace cardigan. Now I just have to kind of find a pattern to make that happen. So there are a lot of really pretty, and that was the other thing. I was looking for something that read as pretty, like something light, something quite feminine. I wanted it to be flexible, but I also wanted to be able to see the drape from that lace and see the drape from that silk content that I was going to be able to use and really make use of that. So I did my Ravelrying again, and I found an awesome pattern that I hadn't seen kind of on the So Schmeeds or anybody talking about, and I love it. It's called the Millie Cardigan, and it's by Irene Lynn. Excuse me, I want to double check if it's Irene Lynn or Lim. I don't want to get his name wrong. Irene Lynn, and it's fantastic. First off, the pattern is written for both charted and non-charted. I assumed I was going to use the chart, but because of my lack of experience with lace, I ended up using the written instructions. They are fantastic. It is literally a row by row. Everything is written out for you. It does mean that when you print the pattern, it looks like a novel, but I'm completely okay with that, because I really felt like I knew what I was doing. I don't want to jinx myself, but I really have not had to rip back this at all, and it is so pretty. Like, that's what it is. It is an absolutely beautiful pattern. I'm gonna hold it up actually in the back. It'll be hard to see, obviously, because it's not blocked, But there's the lace stitch pattern, and then the raglan is done with its own lace panel and cable section. And then those raglans actually run down the front of the garment and the back. And it was my assumption that I would actually, when I first cast this on, I thought, oh, well, I might get rid of those and just turn it into kind of all over color work, or color work, all over lace pattern and keep the lace pattern consistent. But they're so kind of undulating, and it adds to this sense of curvature, which my mom actually called out, and she did a really great analysis. And I'm just really, really happy with it. So again, it's kind of hard to see. I've just now split for sleeves. I'm kind of in a race against the clock. If I can finish, I basically have 10 days before my trip. I really hope I can finish it off. But I think I can now that I'm just going back and forth. It's gonna be quite cropped, and I'm really happy with it. So this is, again, the Millie cardigan. I think it's an incredible summer knit. It's not a process knit for me. This is definitely a product knit. I don't love doing lace. It definitely makes my brain work, and it's harder for me to do. It's not like a evening, you know, watching my favorite knitting YouTubers or throwing on the next episode of The Gentleman, which my husband and I are watching right now. It's not that level of knitting. I really do have to pay attention in a different way, but I'm really excited about the outcome. I think that the yarn is a great fit for that pattern, and I really encourage folks, if you're looking at all of the different, you know, summery patterns out there, I think this is really a winner, and I'm super excited to wear it. It comes with 2 different lengths of arms. I will be doing the full length arm just because that's my preference, but it also comes in a kind of not quite 3/4 length, but elbow length sleeve as well. So I'm really excited about it, but now I have to get on my horse and finish it up. So that's the second of my cardigan trifecta. The third is technically like not even cast on yet, but I paired the yarn and I'm so excited about that. This is for the Turtle Dove cardigan, which is a pattern by Melissa Clulo of Espace Tricot, and I had ordered this winter a special update of this yarn from the Lamb & Kid. It's their Birdie yarn in the color Gloaming. Okay, I'm back. Before we were so rudely interrupted, I was interrupted actually by the camera itself, which was apparently full. So anyway, I was talking about my very exciting new cast on coming up. This is the Turtle Dove cardigan, and I'm really excited about it because I get to use this yarn that's been in my 2 yarns that have been in my stash for quite a while. The first is this Birdie, which is a silk and baby Surrey alpaca blend from the Lamb & Kid in the color Gloaming, which is a really, really beautiful grayish, bluish purple. It's like a periwinkle, but very light, and gloaming is one of my favorite words. It's that time right as evening is falling, and I love it because it always has been a color for me. So the idea that there's a yarn that is the color of an experience that I just love was kind of perfect. And then the other yarn that I'm working with, I got 2 years ago now at the Rose City Yarn Crawl. There was a pop-up shop from a small farm that's a rescue farm called Shaggy Bear in Oregon, and this is the Rose City Yarn Crawl as a yarn event in Portland, and this yarn is amazing. It is rescue bunny fur with linen, and it's such a different blend, but it's amazing. It's really bouncy, but I think it's going to be perfect for this pairing. And the color is just, wow. This has a lot more gray in it. It's a little bit toned down compared to the brightness of the Lambing Kid, but I think together, is that about right? Let me see if I can get it. There we go. That's what we're looking at. I think it's gonna be a really, really great knit. It also looks really straightforward in terms of the pattern, but is gonna give you a really like highly kind of elevated looking piece. It has an integrated collar. It's an open cardigan. I'm really excited about that. So my plan is to cast this on so it will be my plane knitting, because I do have quite a bit of planes and trains and automobiles on this trip that's coming up. So those are my 3 active whips, this about to be active as soon as I can get that lace cardigan off the needles. In terms of hibernating whips, I have not even touched them. Those 3 pieces are my Andrea Mowry satellite shawl, still in the same spot, my mashup of my kind of like thick knit, that's kind of like a sweater number 9 from My Favorite Things Knitwear, but it's also kind of like a Sandnesgarn sweater. That one also have not touched. All I have to do is the sleeves, and I just like haven't gotten it done. It's just not the era. It's the era of the cardigan right now. So that's just where I am. I still think I'm gonna be able to get needles to 0 by the end of the year, which was my goal. And yeah, I'm trying to think. Did my FO, those are my whips. And I guess my plan, because I haven't cast on the turtle dove yet. Sorry, a little sip. I think that's about it. Knitting stuff is going well. I'm happy with where I am with my projects. It is definitely, I'm not knitting as much. And a lot of that is because of my new kind of activities that I'm doing and planning, and also kid stuff. You know, I have a 4.5-year-old and a 7.5-year-old, and that means people's activities have really ramped up. There is some sitting around waiting time, but there's also a lot of shuttling people to and from their things time. So I'm just trying to roll with it, be less concentrated on kind of productivity and more on process. And I'm really, really happy that I have this space to connect and to process all of the process work I'm doing. And if you guys have any recommendations of things that you love, 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 in the south of France, I'll be flying into Nice, and then I'll be in a couple of the hill towns above Antibes, and then in Villefranche for a couple days, or any favorite spots in Venice. Please do throw those below. I will definitely be reading them before I head out on this trip, and I'm not thinking it'll be a really yarn heavy excursion, but I am curious if there's anything I should definitely not miss. Do let me know. What else? I guess that's about it. I'm hoping I can do at least 2 more kind of catch-ups this summer, maybe 3. I wish I was at that like monthly rate again of just check-ins, but I'm not quite there yet. I'm still at the like 6-week mark, but I'm gonna try to condense that down for the summer and try to check in more often. And yeah, I'm excited for the knit-alongs that come about around Rhinebeck, so I'm definitely going to be watching those. And if you all are, you know, looking forward to any fall knits that I should try to pencil in time for, let me know now. If you're testing something great, throw that in the comments below as well. And again, if this is something that resonates with you, I would love to hear about it with a comment or a subscribe or hitting the like button, anything that works for you. Thank you all for coming on this little check-in journey with me, and I'll catch you later. remember that the work that you do in the world is important, and keep putting yourself out there one stitch or mark at a time. Thanks so much, and talk to you later. Bye.